Hey guys, it's HarleyWood. Welcome back. Today I'm going to walk you through this build that I finished just a few weeks ago. I did tell you that my Bergara B14 Wilderness was my hunting rifle for this year, and that is true. I just got back from a 10-day long trip to Middle Georgia. I take this trip every year. We lease 1,000 acres down there, and I usually hunt for 10, 11, 12 days, just depending on where we think the rut's going to fall. I think I was a little early on the rut this time, but I actually did okay. I'll get into more of that in a minute. Now, even though the Bergara is my official hunting rifle for this year, I couldn't help but take this thing with me. And as it would turn out, I did end up killing a buck with this, and I didn't kill anything with the Bergara. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you've already seen this. If you don't, there's links in the description below. Go give it a follow. You do get to see stuff quite a bit earlier than when you will here on the YouTube channel. And a lot of times you'll see stuff on Instagram or Facebook that it never even makes it to the channel. It's just stuff I'm interested in, but not necessarily worthy of a full dedicated review. So links in the description below. Now, before I get into the details on this, let me tell you about this hunt, all right? I don't have any footage leading up to the shot, okay? I have a lot after that, and I'll roll that in here in a second, but I do want to tell you what happened. So a couple days before Halloween, I went down to deer camp, came back the day of Halloween that afternoon, took the kids out trick-or-treating, drove all the way back down to deer camp. The very next morning, November 1st, got in my deer stand. It was a brand new stand that I had just put up, hadn't even hunted it yet. And about 8:30 in the morning, a doe comes walking up on my right, all right? She walks about, I don't know, 20, 30 yards up ahead of me, and then the wind's hit me in the face. I know she didn't smell me, but she blows, she hops 2 times, and then she stops and starts nibbling on a little branch. And I was like, that's kind of weird. They don't normally behave like that. So I got my binoculars up and I started glassing off through, there's a bunch of sweet gums 50, 60 yards out in front of me. Started glassing through the sweet gums, and I just saw a mess of horns in the sweet gums. And I was like, oh my gosh. At first I thought it was a 12-pointer. Turns out a buddy had pictures of it on his trail cameras. I'll roll those in right here so you can see. It's an 11 unless you count that little kicker right there. Then I guess you can count it as a 12. Anyway, I see this guy through the woods and all this horn sticking up. He's about 18 inches wide, and I blow my grunt. He looks, but he doesn't show any interest really. I blow the grunt again after about a minute. He looks over. He doesn't show any interest. And as I'm glassing, I notice there's a doe that he's paying attention to. He's not really pushing her. He's not, obviously not chasing her, but he's very interested and he doesn't want to break contact with her. So I hit the grunt one more time. He won't come. Anyway, I continue to watch them for about 5-10 minutes and they eventually move off. I just could not get a shot through all the sweet gums as much as I wanted to. I couldn't take a good shot. So about 5-10 minutes later, I'm sitting in the stand and I'm in one of those tree climbers where you face the tree, all right? And I look around the front of the tree and there's a buck that I've had on camera for months, for a long time, standing 15 yards in front of the tree. And I had just looked around the tree and I said, oh, shh. And so I come back around the tree and I'm just watching him around the corner of the tree. My rifle's right in front of me, this one here. I grab the rifle and I lift it up and he starts walking over to my right. And so I'm just watching him and he's only 15 yards away from me. He gets behind a little bush. I lift the rifle up like this and then he comes out from behind the bush and I freeze because if he just happens to look up, he'll notice me. He walks a little bit more, he puts his head down. I finish turning the rifle over and I get the scope on him. I click the safety off on this thing, and as soon as I click it, he hears the click and he looks up at me, boom, and I shot him. And he runs off through the woods. I'm gonna roll in some of that footage right here, but I've told, here's what I told my wife. It looked like somebody went through the woods with a gallon of paint, red paint, just sloshing it on trees, all over the leaves, all over everything. So I shot him right through the bottom lobe of one of his lungs, blew his heart in half, and he runs about 100 yards and lays down. Let's take a look. Just shot a buck about 30 minutes ago and I'm tracking his blood now. I got good blood. Squirted all over the tree. I bet he's down in there somewhere. I shot him at only like 15 yards. Got good blood, I can see it. One of the easier blood trails I've ever followed. This joker got it done, baby. Call this guy split ear. One of his ears is split almost completely. got it done with that new build. Now I just gotta find him. I saw a chocolate 12 on a doe's butt this morning, and I called at him. I couldn't get him to break contact with that doe. And I've been watching this guy for months. I see him. He's down. He's down. He's right there. He's down, baby. In the ditch. Oh, it's gonna be fun getting him out of here. God. Oh, look at that guy. You can see why I call him split ear. That is a cool deer. Look how tall he is. Not very wide. Oh God, I gotta get him out of here. Got you. Oh. So as you can see, that was a hell of a recovery. I was by myself. Now there were some other guys at camp, but they were all, it was early in the morning, it was 8:30. I didn't want to disrupt their hunts from, 8, 9,000 yards away. I didn't want to disturb them, and I figured I could get him out of that ditch. It was more challenging than I thought it was going to be. Luckily, I had that snatch block with me, the winch on the four-wheeler. Normally, I don't like to drag a deer if I can avoid it. I like to just get them up and take them out as respectfully as possible. But there was no way I was getting that thing out of the ditch without a little bit of dragging and ingenuity. So I'm actually going to do a full shoulder mount on him. Now he's a smaller buck. Now I've called this deer Split because of the split ear that you see in that footage there. I've been watching him since early summer, and he's just got a lot of character. He's really tall. He's not very wide. But I'm actually gonna do a full shoulder mount. My son doesn't know this yet, but it's gonna go in his room. He's gonna freak out. Anyway, let's get into this rifle. At first glance, this looks like a Christensen Arms modern precision rifle. And as far as the chassis goes, it is. So they sell the chassis separate as of several months ago. I shot one of their modern precision rifles at SHOT Show 2020 out to 950 yards, and it was a piece of cake. Obviously, it was already dialed in for it, 6.5 Creedmoor. This one here is chambered in 308. Now, the action is not from Christensen Arms though. This is actually a black collar arms action on here, which is a rebranded Bighorn Arms action. The barrel under there, you can't see it, but the barrel is an Excalibur carbon fiber barrel. It's a 15-inch barrel with a pinned and welded cherry bomb on the front, the Q cherry bomb. Under the burn-proof gear wrap here is the Q Trash Panda. Now, I just got this put on. This is the Magpul bipod. Not necessarily in love with it. Obviously, I have no field use with it yet, but even just using it for, you know, a little bit, not necessarily in love with it. I'll go into more on that in a future review, perhaps. Big shout out to MSR Arms. So they are one of my channel sponsors. That is the EOTech 5-25. It is the mill reticle on there, and the reticle is sick, guys. If you saw my reviews of the Crimson Trace scopes, one of my only criticisms of it is that on a first focal plane scope, as that reticle zooms forward, that center dot on those two got just a little bit bigger than I would have liked it to be. This one is a 0.05 mil dot in the center. When you zoom in, it still stays really, really small and precise. So I love this scope, but you're gonna pay for it, as well as the Trigger Tech trigger. And the grip here is the Ergo. I think they call it the Zero grip. So that's it, guys. Even though the Bergara is my hunting rifle, this one ended up doing the job. I don't even know what you would call this. Is it a Christensen Arms? Is it a black collar arms? Is it a Bighorn? Because the action's technically a Bighorn. It's just a Frankenstein. It's just a bunch of stuff that I kind of pieced together. I went with the Excalibur barrel because I could choose the length that I wanted. One of the things that I was not aware of was that it was going to come with a barrel nut on there. So I did end up having to Dremel out a little bit of the carbon fiber handguard on the inside there, just to make room for the handguard to slide down over that barrel nut. Not a big deal, but it did take a little bit of finessing. And this thing weighs in, without the suppressor, weighs in at 9 pounds. With the suppressor, it's, I don't know what the suppressor weighs, another 16, 17 ounces, something like that. So it puts it just a little bit over 10, I think, as you see it here. Contrast that to that Bergara with the 26-inch barrel. It's quite a bit heavier. I've never put that one on the scale, but it's heavy and it's long. So as I'm riding out in the woods on the four-wheeler, you got to watch, because you've got that gun sticking way out left and right. This one, actually, I was able to fold it in when I was riding. And this is nice and compact. It just sits basically right here on your body. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you did like this video, do me a favor, hit subscribe, hit that bell icon so you know when I release new videos. I've got lots more videos to come, and we'll see you on the next one.